Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. 1. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. 4. He will win who prepared himself waits to take the enemy unprepared. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever been seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. Who wishes to fight must first count the cost. The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. If you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. Know yourself and you will win all battles. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. Be extremely subtle even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. The wise warrior avoids the battle.
When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. If at ease, exhaust them. If united, separate them. Attack their weaknesses, emerge to their surprise. The whole secret lies in confusing the enemy, so that he cannot fathom our real intent. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Rouse him and learn the principle of his activity or inactivity. Force him to reveal himself so as to find out his vulnerable spots. One may know how to conquer without being able to do it. One mark of a great soldier is that he fight on his own terms or fights not at all. If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know heaven and know earth, you may make your victory complete. You have to believe in yourself. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious. If the mind is willing, the flesh could go on and on without many things. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. Attack is the secret of defense. Defense is the planning of an attack. Thus the expert in battle moves the enemy and is not moved by him. Anger may in time change to gladness. Vexation may be succeeded by content. But a kingdom that has once been destroyed can never come again into being, nor can the dead ever be brought back to life. There are roads which must not be followed, armies which must not be attacked, towns which must not be besieged, positions which must not be contested, commands of the sovereign which must not be obeyed. Great results can be achieved with small forces. When one treats people with benevolence, justice, and righteousness and reposes confidence in them, the army will be united in mind, and all will be happy to serve their leaders. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. Pretend inferiority and encourage his arrogance. Convince your enemy that he will gain very little by attacking you. This will diminish his enthusiasm. Ponder and deliberate before you make a move. If quick, I survive. If not quick, I am lost. This is. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive. And unless submissive, then will be practically useless. If when the soldiers have become attached to you, punishments are not enforced, they will still be unless. Knowing the enemy enables you to take the offensive. Knowing yourself enables you to stand on the defensive. Ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Bravery without forethought causes a man to fight blindly and desperately like a mad bull. Such an opponent must not be encountered with brute force, but may be lured into an ambush and slain. mystify, mislead, and surprise the enemy. If ignorant both of your enemy and yourself, you are certain to be in peril. Wheels of justice grind slow but grind fine. It is easy to love your friend, but sometimes the hardest lesson to learn is to love your enemy. The general who advances without coveting fame and retreats without fearing disgrace, whose only thought is to protect his country and do good service for his sovereign, is the jewel of the kingdom. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. Never venture, never win. Plan for what it is difficult while it is easy. Do what is great while it is small. There are 5 dangerous faults which may affect a general. 1. Recklessness, which leads to destruction. 2. Cowardice, which leads to capture. 3. A hasty temper, which can be provoked by insults. 4. A delicacy of honor, which is sensitive to shame. 5. Over-solicitude for his men, which exposes him to worry and trouble. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Be where your enemy is not. Begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear, then he will be amenable to your will. Disorder came from order, fear came from courage, weakness came from strength. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will everywhere be weak. If his forces are united, separate them. Rewards for good service should not be deferred a single day. Water shapes its course according to the nature of the ground over which it flows. The soldier works out his victory in relation to the foe whom he is facing. The skillful tactician may be likened to the Shuai-Jan. Now the Shuai-Jan is a snake that is found in the Chang Mountains. Strike at its head, and you will be attacked by its tail. Strike at its tail, and you will be attacked by its head. Strike at its middle, and you will be attacked by head and tail both. But a kingdom that has once been destroyed can never come again into being, nor can the dead ever be brought back to life. To fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. If words of command are not clear and distinct, if orders are not thoroughly understood, then the general is to blame. But if orders are clear and the soldiers nevertheless disobey, then it is the fault of their officers. Who does not know the evils of war cannot appreciate its benefits. It is only the enlightened ruler and the wise general who will use the highest intelligence of the army for the purposes of spying, and thereby they achieve great results. Conform to the enemy's tactics until a favorable opportunity offers, then come forth and engage in a battle that shall prove decisive. Therefore, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions.
Hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. When your army has crossed the border, you should burn your boats and bridges in order to make it clear to everybody that you have no hankering after home. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. He who advances without seeking fame, who retreats without escaping blame. He whose one aim is to protect his people and serve his Lord. The man is a jewel of the realm. Hence, a commander who advances without any thought of winning personal fame, and withdraws in spite of certain punishment, whose only concern is to protect his people and promote the interests of his ruler, is the nation's treasure. Because he fusses over his men as if they were infants, they will accompany him into the deepest valleys. Because he fusses over his men as if they were his own beloved sons, they will die by his side. If he is generous with them and yet they do not do as he tells them, if he loves them and yet they do not obey his commands, if he is so undisciplined with them that he cannot bring them into proper order, they will be like spoiled children who can be put to no good use at all. In battle, there are not more than two methods of attack, the direct and the indirect. Yet these two in combination give rise to an endless series of maneuvers. Energy may be likened to the bending of a crossbow, decision to the releasing of a trigger. Those skilled at making the enemy move do so by creating a situation to which he must conform. They entice him with something he is certain to take, and with lures of ostensible profit, they await him in strength. If there is disturbance in the camp, the general's authority is weak. Know thyself, know thy enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Hence the general is skillful in attack whose opponent does not know what to defend, and he is skillful in defense whose opponent does not know what to attack. The worst calamities that befall an army arise from hesitation. For knowledge cannot be gotten from ghosts and spirits, cannot be had by analogy, cannot be found out by calculation. It must be obtained from people who know the conditions of the enemy. Do not swallow bait offered by the enemy. Do not interfere with an army that is returning home. Do many calculations lead to victory, and few calculations to defeat? If you fight with all your might, there is a chance of life, whereas death is certain if you cling to your corner.